I've only had to pay for 2, like out of my commission. The others were, if they counter back with no warranty, then I would talk to my buyers to actually bump it up another $400 or $500 in the sale price just to cover it, and they usually agreed to that. But if I couldn't make it work, I have bought them before. I just feel funny. I feel vulnerable almost without it, even though we have insurances and stuff. But I feel like I'm taking really, really good care of my people if I have that warranty on there. And if they get all kinds of flack because pre-existing or no, I'm off the hook for the most part, And I can get in there and fight if I need to. But didn't used to have to do too much, especially with 210. That was a good one because I did so many, All right, so we still have degrees of separation. Now we're on the seller side, the listing side. In the class, we talked deeply about these things, but this is a Cliff Note version of that class because it's mixed in the service. But pre-listing. And so, who is doing pre-listing items right now? Nobody? All right, well, maybe you'll like this and learn it. I believe we've got to stand up from the crowd. So what does that entail? Doing something ahead of time, A pre-listing package is a great idea. I believe we all need to invest in and write off a good camera. And I think the fisheye lens is great because it does a little bit wider this way and wider this way. Wide angle is not quite doing what we need it to do. Now some of those are really like big fish or something because they don't look anything like when you get there. So I would be careful on your lens to make sure it sort of looks like the house, otherwise you'll have people mad at you, I think. But you can go to the pre-listing ahead of time if you have an appointment. And I think, why not invest in this? It's a job interview. So $20, some of your time, to put something together for pre-listing to stand out from the crowd, okay? And because none of you raised your hands, that's the same story in all my classes, it seems like. So I think you might be the only one that's doing this, hence standing out from the crowd. And so, taking good pictures, we're going to use the pictures that we use for the pre-listing package that we're going to send them. And also, I'm going to share an idea with you to make a flyer of that house for when you're sitting there at the table with them showing you do flyers. Well, flyers, what do we need those for? Nobody does flyers anymore. Yes, they do. They do. Our agents that are doing flyers have to fill those things up all the time. So in my opinion, if I was listing houses in 2019, I would still be doing flyers until they were sitting there rotting and getting crinkly and nobody's taking them out anymore. And I would still zip tie one that's laminated to the box in case I ran out. Somebody can at least go, what the heck? Oh, I'll take a picture of it. If they're smart enough, they'll take a picture of it, So anyway, pre-listing package can be good. Hand deliver. There is a statistic somewhere, and I don't know if it's in here, somewhere about 76% of sellers will go with the first agent they meet with face-to-face. That's why video is important. That's why BombBomb is important, or something like BombBomb, or this face-to-face here. So if I have a listing appointment for next Tuesday at 7 p.m., I'm going to try and be the last one in. That's my strategy. And I'm also going to ask them not to list with anybody else they meet with earlier because I have things that nobody else has. And I want you to see them before you make a decision. And that strategy has worked very, very well. The reason I started saying that last thing is because I have knocked on doors a couple times and I'm like, I know they're in there. Why aren't they not answering? They must have listed with somebody else and don't have the nerve, or I don't know. So, but to do that, but then also I'm going to try and find out who they are. Well, we're meeting with Knock on Monday before you. Oh, awesome. Actually, I've got something I can share with you where I can get you multiple offers. So when I meet with you, I'm actually going to bring 3 other offers from others, including Knock. So I'll bring all that and we'll discuss that. Oh, really? Did I just blow your socks away? That blew my way when I heard this 2 weeks ago. So we can actually go to Knock and Open Door and, what's the other one? I just went blank. I'll think of it in a minute. And get a value for their home, what they would probably get from Knock. And it's going to be peanuts. It's going to be, yeah, it's instantaneous. But if they end up doing that, even though they see my net, guess what? I get a referral fee. 20%, 30%, it's all negotiable. It's all over the board right now is what I'm hearing. But so if I control that and I can say, I've got several offers from 3 different ones and I might be able to get you 4, I'm not sure. One of my own investors, I might ask. So you can still meet with Knock if you want to, but I will have their information when we meet on Tuesday. And so that's a great strategy. But also, I'm going to be wanting to make sure I hand deliver my thing before anybody else gets there. So if they're meeting with so-and-so and so-and-so over the weekend, and today's Friday, right? They're going to get a thing from me tonight sometime. And I hope they're there, because if we get to meet face to face, there's a good chance they're going to listen to me statistically. And if they're not there, I'm going to bomb them. Hey, Susie and Mike, this is Dave Kubat. I just want to let you know, I don't know if you use your front door, but I dropped you off a little package at the front door. Was hoping you were there. I didn't make an appointment, but I was just wanted to get that to you before we meet on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. All right, so they got to meet me a little bit, and the gurus are saying that is a face-to-face, okay? And BombBomb makes it very, very easy. That's why I like BombBomb. All right, there's a pre-listing package here. Again, that's just a JPEG. I had one agent ask me in the class, I don't like that picture. Can I use something else? I'm not making fun of her. Yes, you can. Just check whatever you want to do. None of this is copywritten. It's all me picking and pulling and thinking and, so. But here's what's going inside. Aren't those great pictures in winter? That's my good camera. And so these are great pictures there. Testimonials, actually your Google reviews and your Zillow reviews should go right here. Okay? I don't have those, so I just left these in there. But and this is funny. I used to write these for people and say, would you sign them? Because I wanted meat. I didn't want, Dave was awesome. I mean, he sold my house in 2 days when nobody else was selling theirs, and 100% of the price or whatever, And so just things in there. This is part of the listing presentation, but it's kind of a cool thing there. All right. They never did any of these things. They never read any of it. Because I would ask when I get there, I would say, hey, did you guys read or did you watch the DVD or anything? No. Oh, okay. That's fine. It was, again, to stand out from the crowd. But inside there is this kind of subliminal cleaning supplies, paper towels, CD with how to price and prepare your home. And then there's the folder right there with that package I was just telling you about. So that's all in there. So that was about $15 to $20. It was all dollar store size. But I want clean carpets, clean toilets, clean windows. Get your stuff all together. Again, they never even read or watched the DVD, so it was kind of just one of those things, right? I just know that, so I just wrote it off, CMA, if you're doing CMAs, I would just say still do them. For me, I had some millionaire training once, and I was like almost $200 an hour, and these took me an hour. And there's no way in heck I would write a check for $200 for a CMA. So I changed my mindset. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing these anymore. I'm just going to print them all out, the listings, and bring it with me and wing it. Well, that worked for me. It really did. And I brought my competition with me too, their competition. And so, but if you do these, I think they look beautiful and they're very professional. So I would suggest doing it. But it's funny, I put the fresh breath in there again. Did you ever watch The Office, that show The Office? There was a coffee breath episode in there that changed my life. I was like, oh my gosh, do I have coffee breath? And so I would always suck on mints before I went anywhere. But because these people, I don't know why, especially on the listing site, they acted like we were best buds by the time I left there. It was an hour and a half, hour to an hour and a half. They were walking me to my car. The first time I was freaked out. I was like, what are they doing? And the first time I opened my car, all these sippy cups and stuff fell out. I was glad it wasn't beer cans, but I was like, oh my gosh, and just still standing there waving at me. I was like, wow. And then when we're looking at papers, all of a sudden they're coming right here, especially the guys. I don't know, buddies, we're best friends. He's like, so what are we doing right here? I was like, you are too close to my face. But so I had a thing about fresh breath, and that's where that came from. See why my wife doesn't come. She's just like, oh my gosh, these stories, So pre-listing, we talked about that. But being the last one in the interview, I already kind of went ahead of myself there. This I just picked up from Tom Ferry. So we're in the coaching thing, and one of the coaching members who was like big bucks, he's like, make sure, because we are so bad at this as an industry, 3, 4, 5 minutes late. Don't act like you don't do that. And so anyway, be early. He said, number one, you're going to blow them away for that, because the other ones they met with earlier probably were on time or a little bit late. But he said, get there early. One lady chimed in and she goes, you need to drive the neighborhood before you get there, because if there's a FSBO you don't know about, you're going to look like an idiot. I was like, oh, that's so smart. I never did that my whole career, but they never asked. But what if they said, well, how much is that FSBO down the road? I don't know. You probably don't get the job, But the one guy is saying, all right, start taking pictures. Have you ever noticed that the blinds are moving in the curtains? They're looking at you. They're checking you out before you even get in the car or to the house. I think that's the weirdest thing. I just accepted it as truth and fact over the years. But when I drove up, I'm like, yep, they're looking at me. Okay, whatever. But my car was always clean. It was a newer car usually I had. But if you have a clunker, borrow or rent. I had one agent in East Cobb renting a car, and she lined up her listing appointments in a row. And I thought, you are smart, lady. And then she bought a nice car later. But so anyway, so take pictures, and start doing that, and then call your roommate, significant other, whoever you can call. Hey, Ann, I'm doing that thing in front of the house again. Just bear with me. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. Well, it's got this thing over here. I hope they don't know how to read lips because I'm just faking it. I probably should, All right, thanks. Bye. But I tell her friend that I'm doing this. Even if she didn't answer, I'm still going to do that. But it's showing that you're kind of working ahead, So I thought that was one of my favorite things. I didn't get to do it because I just learned it. But I was like, I think I want to list a house. That looks fun, All right, so flying through here. CMA, we talked about. Sorry, I go ahead of these sometimes. Let's see. Show and tell items. So I think I told you I take those pictures and put them on a flyer. And that was very fun for me because I would say, here's the flyer I do. And I wanted to see how long it would be for them to see, oh, that's our house. That was kind of fun for me. But then I also did a little bit of explanation saying, if you'll notice, that's all about me. It's got your house in there, but it's mostly about me. That's by design. I don't want you to get mad at me, so I'm telling you up front. Because if I can't get them in my car to call me, there's no way I'm going to lose them. So I've got to get them to call my voice pad. In fact, would you please call your voice pad number? And so I'll get their phone and call my voice pad number. And I already did a little thing ahead of time before I got there. Now it's automated, so I'd have to do this one myself for the listing appointment. But it'll say, and I had some training on the voice thing. It was I have a hard time doing it. You'll love this home on this quiet cul-de-sac with trees. And, I can't do it right now. I'll start cracking up. But so I'll have to record one of those, and then they'll hear it on speakerphone, and then they'll see how fast I got a text. So that's a good show and tell right there, too. So that's voice pad. So just setting up a mock thing there. So show and tell things. A visual tour if you wanted to. Do it ahead of time. I don't think I would do that today, but I'm just throwing that out there if you wanted to. So physical preparation. This is like so stupid. I might take it out because you guys didn't laugh like I did in my head, so it's all right. But of course, greeting them and directing them. You want to control this. I promise you. Another story. It'll be quick. Table or table? No. We're going to sit at the couch. Absolutely not. I'm not sitting on the couch. The story that I'm going to share with you is, I didn't even know how to handle this, but when I opened the door, they opened the door, this house slapped me in the face with this odor of cat and cigarettes that I have never, I almost think I can still smell it. It was so bad. And I don't think I went like this, but my body was like, what is going on, And so I said, hey, I'm Dave Kubat, and the guy was giant. I'm not skinny. I'm not making fun of him. I'm painting the picture. He was huge, and his wife was huge-er. And so they said I had to go to the family room because she can't get out of the chair. It was so sad, and the cats and the whole thing. So he's got his chair, and she's got hers, and she's in it. And so they're like, "Oh, please sit." I was like, "Okay." I should have said, I'm going to cancel this appointment right now. It's too. There's no way I was going to be able to sell this house. I mean, it's hard. All right. So my wife's allergic to cats and dogs. And so now I'm just worried about her because I don't know how I'm getting this hair off of my whole body. I mean, and so anyway, so I'm sitting in the chair. So it's one of those things that you sit in the chair and it surrounded me. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not stopping. So I'm like down here. That's why you're in that chair. You broke this. No. And so, and it was so uncomfortable because you're like, and just everything is like, I wasn't taking pictures, but I wasn't like feeling very pretty handsome over there. So anyway, but she's over here, so I'm having to do the tennis game. It's not working. And I finally got brave enough, and I stood up and said, I have been agonizing how to tell you this for the last 10 minutes. I don't want to waste your time or mine. I can't list this house. You guys, there's such a huge smell of cat and cat pee and cigarettes. I don't waste your time, and I don't want any bad records of not being able to sell a house on my record. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I left. But wouldn't it have been better if I said that when the house slapped me? I wouldn't have wasted any of that time. I wouldn't be carrying these hairs home and stuff. So maybe you can learn from me. I don't know where I got that from. Oh, so I'm going to sit at that table or this one, and I'm going to seat them over here because my tablet, I'm switching like this, and one guy was like, "Oh, is this the hard sell seat where you're going to sell us and close us?" I said, "No, sir, I'm right-handed, so I'm right-handed, whatever." You really do meet some nuts in this industry, I'm telling you. And they're not agents all the time. Walking the property, making sure it's what you thought it was, because I brought my comps with me, asking questions. It's the only time I have to bond with these people, really, right? See if they're going to like me or not. So I may even ask some of the same questions I asked with over the phone. But you're going to sit with them, do the marketing proposal, go over the comps like you always do. Sellers net, your competition, from what I know, is not doing that. So degrees of separation, you crunch numbers with them, they're going to be very appreciative. And what if they are upside down and they didn't even know it? It could happen. Not necessarily right now, but And so doing that was going to be a great degree of separation. Talking about pricing, sign them up. Some of the questions you can walk around with when you're just saying, well, where are you moving to? What is your urgency? What do you expect from me if you hire me? What do you expect? And if it's anything out of the ordinary, I'm going to make sure I hit it. I'll say, you just mentioned before about da-da-da. I take that very seriously, and here's what I do. I wouldn't have known it if I didn't know what was their thing, Concerns about the costs or the processes, any kind of fears or negative things. So the presentation is Keller, Max, Tom Ferry, whatever. It's a mutt. So again, you can use this if you like it. That's just a logo. You can change these colors if you want. But so that's going to be on the link I send you if you want to adopt it. It's too big the way it is. Trim it down. I just didn't want to pick the slides for you. And we go in depth of it in the seller class. So we have show and tell. We talked about going over the comps together. What I like to do, especially if they're not reasonable, like before I even got there, I knew where they're going to be on the price. And I brought my boxing gloves or I left them in the car. Depends what their answers were. And so I would say to them, is this one superior or inferior to yours? Even if I know, I want to hear what they say, okay? Because if they think their house is so much better, we might be going to look at these other houses that are competing with them. That's why I brought them, one of the reasons. Discussing the trend of closing costs. So this is not really the service part of this. This is just kind of going over the appointment there. Positives, negatives of their house. Suggestions, here's the service item. They're going to get a list from me about what to do to get their house ready to sell. And most of them were not ready, but what you guys have that I didn't have is all those TV shows that are talking about staging and cleaning and purging and all this stuff. So I hope you have it easier than I did with those shows, if nothing else. But neutralize, declutter, and depersonalize is my 3 words, and clean, that's a given, but, and so they're going to get my ideas to do that. I like Antique White by Duran. Even today, I know we have the grays and then we had the tans a little while ago, but it is so safe if they're going to paint because it's a clean palette. You may have amazing gray, something like that nowadays. I don't know. This is too dark, but something light and airy and looks like neutral is a good color. And the reason why I'm naming one is because I suggested that to some people, and they were in Heritage Park in Kennesaw. You know that neighborhood. Pulte homes, great value for the money, a lot of house. And so it was a family, and they're like, Dave, come look at the house. You got to come look. We painted. And I already told them Antique White by Duran. Now it's Sherwin-Williams. And so I get in the house, and it's like this peach hue. And they were so proud of it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Why did they do this to me? And so I was like, oh my gosh, it looks so crisp and clean. What happened to Antique White by Duran? Oh, we like this one better. I was like, so I think what I would say now is Duran Antique White is my suggestion. Of course, it's your house. But if you deviate that, would you call me and discuss? Because I have this story to tell you. And I would tell them the Pinky Peach story. And I thought, what? It was sundown, and they had lots of windows. I thought, oh, it's probably just the sun. Maybe it's just the sun. Walked in the bathroom. No. So I decided to go back the next day to see what it looked, because now I had to get different pictures. And it was peachier, pinkier in the morning. So anyway, you can use that story to help you get the color that you need to sell it. Today, some things just sell even with that, but this was a time where I needed it to be antique white or something like that, you know.
You just tell somebody. I just tell my sellers all the time. Remember, you're not going to live here.
Yeah, it's not for you. You're right.
Do not do
Right.
in here what you want because it's not going to be your house.
Exactly.
So stay very traditional, very blank.
Yeah, and I do help stage. That's part of my services too. I don't even know if there's a thing anymore, but and guys, it is not a girly decorating thing. It's math. It's 3s and 5s. It's like landscaping. I mean, just watch some videos and help them out. My favorite story is this one lady. She was. Are you guys getting tired of these stories?
No.
All right. She was in Smyrna, and it was one of those Pulte, gorgeous, giant homes. And at the time, she had it listed for $300,000. This story will handle two things. So it's $300,000. I'm looking at it thinking, oh, she found my name was a postcard she had electrostatically stuck to her dry cleaning. So she thought it was a sign. I was like, so she told me this on the phone. I said, well, I believe in signs. Let me just come over and see if we click, and you know. So we went over there, and we clicked on the Christian church thing. She was an older black lady. I'm telling you that for a reason. She was several years older than me, and I was a younger white guy. If you can't tell, I'm white. And so, reason for telling you that. So looking at the house, I'm like, wow, this is really nice, because I couldn't believe how big it was inside. It was like those 2-story everything Pulte did. And so I said to her, I said, well, how many people have you come to this house? I'm surprised it's still on the market. She goes, oh, I don't know, like 60, 70. I was like, what? I mean, the price was exactly where it needed to be. And this is where it gets awkward, but you guys, we have got to do the job, okay? She had pictures of herself and her son everywhere. And so it wasn't neutral, decluttered, depersonalized, okay? So that's the 3 words I always have used my whole career. And I said, you know what? I said, I don't care if you hire me or not. I said, I really like you. I said, I want to stage this house with you. Do you have an hour? And I said, we're just going to do stuff. She goes, oh, you would do that for me? I was like, I really will. I said, again, if you hire me, great, but I feel like I have to do this for you. And so I said, all right, we're going to make a pile, and the pile is going to have to go off-site, like in a storage unit. You do whatever you want to, but it has to leave this property. And she's like, how big is the pile? I was like, big. I mean, I was honest with her. And she had these gorgeous hardwood floors everywhere, but she had, this was not the 1980s, but all her stuff was 80s. It was in early 90s, like blue and pink and, you know, the dusty rose, whatever it was called. All this stuff. So ugly, ugly rugs on these beautiful floors, you know. And so we started there, so I'm rolling up this rug, and she goes, oh, you don't like that? I said, or she goes, you don't like that one? I said, I don't like any of them. I said, but it doesn't matter what I like. We're trying to stage your house. So it's good. It's going in the pile. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I turned the corner, and it was so many pictures of her, and it was all this African art. And I thought, this is a prayer. I was like, God, what do I do? And neutral, decluttered, depersonalized. I said, all right, so remember, this is staging. If this was my house, I would take this down and this down and this. And she goes, oh, too ethnic for you? I was like, oh my gosh. I said, no, ma'am, it's not neutral, and it's to you. I said, think of a model home. They may have some things in there, but there's going to be things from all over the world, and there's going to be pictures of everybody. But since we don't have a model home, we need to take everything personal out of here, because neutralized, decluttered, depersonalized. So I was like, are you okay? I hope I don't offend you. I said, but I feel like I need to be just blunt with you. She goes, I can handle it. I said, okay. And then I go to her room, and it is plastered with the pictures. That's where the rooms were. And I was like, all right, so whose room is this? She goes, mine. I said, yeah. I said, look at the pictures. I said, this is all you. Those 60 and 70 people, I feel like they couldn't picture themselves in this house, because it's your house. Same thing you were just saying. So I said, so we're going to take these down. They're going to go in the pile, you know, gently in the pile. And she said, it's because I'm black? I said, no, ma'am. I said, neutralize, declutter, depersonalize. And I said, please, you're making me uncomfortable now. We were close enough. And she goes, that's all right. And I was like, okay. She goes, can I keep this one? I said, no, ma'am. And she goes, I really like it. I said, I see why. It's a great picture. It was her son. I said, it's an awesome picture. I said, but remember, this is not your house. We are selling this house. It's not yours. And she goes, okay, well, can I keep it like in the drawer and pull it out? I said, if you promise to put it face down in the drawer with something on top of it. I said, oh my gosh, this is so hard. You're making me really work for my money here. And I don't even know if you hired me. And so that's what she said, you got the job. I said, okay, but let's finish this. And so then we go somewhere else, and she says, why did all my black agents tell me this? And what popped out of my mouth, I said, will you stop with the black? I don't know who those agents are. I don't know who those agents are. They didn't have the training I have, obviously. I said, this is just what we're doing. I was like, oh my gosh. We sold it in like one day, same price. But the pictures were and their pictures weren't that hot anyway. But, oh my gosh. So why am I telling that story? I don't know.
Because of,
I don't know. It's a great story. It really is.
Because of the peach paint.
Well, it was my favorite success story though, because she bragged about me too.
Yeah.
But oh, that was hard. So anyway, the net sheet. There's one on your link you're going to get that I use. I like to have. This is where again, I think experience comes into play. I listed so many houses, and I used to get cussed at a couple of times at closings because it wasn't what the money wasn't what I said it was going to be. Well, I don't know. I just plugged in the numbers. It was always their mortgage payoff. It was different than what they told me, but it was my fault. So I have this one because at the listing table, we need to have the mortgage payoff. But when I got an offer, I didn't even use the GAR one. I just used my own. And they sign off on this thing. So you'll get a copy of it if you like it. It talks about it's not including all the HOAs and the blah, 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 and the prorations, And I have had people saying, I'm not signing that. I said, this is not a contract. This shows that I told you this because you are not going to ruin my day and get mad at me at the closing. So the one when we get an offer, it's just plugged in, and I say all you have to do is subtract your payoff, and that's what you'll take home. So when they want to raise heck about it, I will say, well, what did you use for your payoff when you wrote it on that piece of paper I gave you? So it took that monkey off my back. It was too much.
And one of the things I always tell my sellers to, at the time that I'm listing it, call your mortgage company, and it might be $5, $10, order a payoff. Or I have them give you a payoff amount 30 days from now, 45 days from now, and you'll have a better idea of pretty much where your payoff is going to be.
That's good. Yeah, it's not what's the balance on your thing because it's paid in arrears, and that's what it always was. It was the interest that was in arrears that was coming to the closing.
But some people have done the where they did a payment in the back.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about it. Because they couldn't make a payment on their mortgage, something of that nature, and the payment is the payoff is actually higher because that payment is sitting on the back with the information.
Yeah,
on top
so
of
that's
the
good.
interest, so they're just not aware of it.
Good point.
Forgot about it.
Yeah, and I did that with a car when I was broke.
Exactly, penalties and fees.
All right, so commissions, you can adopt this if you want to. So I go over the presentation and I talk about commissions, and my spiel was, what I just showed you is 6% commission plus the $395 administrative fee. It's not negotiable because I already came down from 7%. Couple seconds of silence, but it's flexible. If I sell it myself, I'm only going to charge you 4%, and if you guys sell it on your own, I've got 2 buy owner programs. One is a 2% commission. I will handle all the contract negotiation and take you from contract to close, or a 0% if you want to boot me out and just deal with everything on your own. So 6420 was my thing forever, and that is even for FSBOs when I get to the table, because this is the and then $495 is the flat fee that Duffy has. I lost one to Duffy once. I was so upset because I did the same thing. I was staging. I had my jacket off. We clicked so well. It was where I learned that some people drink coffee with a straw because their teeth are white. I don't know. That's where I learned that. And so, yeah. And so, but I did my follow-up call the next day, and they said, oh, Dave, we went with Duffy Realty because it was only $500. We were so sorry. But if it doesn't work out, we promise we'll call you because we really liked you a lot. I said, oh, okay, well, I'll follow up with you. I'll keep an eye on your listing. I never did because I was so busy, but it sold. It was one of those years, like 2003, everything sold once it's in the MLS, But I was so mad, not at Duffy, but for not knowing what was out there. So my 6420 became 6420, and I also have a flat fee listing. You pay $495 up front. You pay 3.34% commission at the closing table, but nothing I just showed you is included. You get a signed lockbox, MLS, that's it. Are you interested in that product? And they would say no. And I would like, yay. But I had 2 people take me up on it because there was no equity. So I did my seller's net with them, and they were either upside down or really low. And I said, well, we have that flat fee, and that'll save you a lot of money. Let's try that then. There's no service in it, but if it doesn't work, we can transfer over to the regular, and then you can bring some money to the table, or we'll figure it out. But I don't think you have enough equity. Why don't we just try that? And we did. And I got in so much trouble with my broker. And they always said, anyway. So everything I was always told no is like part of my classes. That's fun. And so, but I don't want to be like a flat fee king. I don't want anybody else, no billboards, no wrapped cars. But it's a tool for us because it exists. And because I'm showing that I have everything from A to Z, and now I even have the instant offers. I'll stay later if you want to hear more about the instant offers because we're just putting it together now. Any of us can compete with any of those people, I'm telling you. So let me finish the class. If you want to stay for that, I will go over it with you.
4? I'm sorry.
If I sell it myself, I'm only going to charge you 4%.
Oh, you sell it yourself, okay.
Yeah. But I never did. I had buyer agents that went and did their showings and stuff, so I never did. I would do that if I said, because I promised, but I never ended up showing the buyers. And then 495. So that's the thing. The ones that took me up on it, one foreclosed. That's how bad they were off. But the other one, it was a $200,000 house. So we'll just round it to 500 up front. And then we got an offer pretty quickly. And it's a customer, not a client. So I'm like, I'm not going to go do a seller's net sheet at their house. And so I came up with this cover sheet for at the time it was fax, but we used it for email too. And the cover sheet said, hey, congratulations on your offer. It's attached for your review. Also attached is a blank counteroffer form. If you cannot accept all the terms of the agreement, put your changes on the counteroffer form and send it back to me, and I'll take care of it for you. Remember, our program with the 495 you do not have an agent. If you ever feel like you do need to, let me know and we'll amend the contract. And for an additional 1% payable at closing, I will handle all the contract negotiation and take you from contract to close, including all these 32 scary items. Like I put all these scary things in there. Things that we do and things that our partners do, but we're involved, so I put those on there. And so this one guy who's like, I can't do this on my own. I need to come meet you, and I changed it to 1%. I was like, okay, come on in. And so he did, and I changed the listing agreement, changed it from a 3.34 to a 4.34. So 500 up front, 2,000 now I'm making. And then also you heard me say 3.34. Well, we know the FMLS is 0.12, so that 0.22 was extra for me. So I made almost $3,000 from a flat fee listing because I talked about it, okay? And like I said, that's not my thing. I don't want to be that person. Duffy's already got it. Let her have it. But she also has a lot of, we know, it's not the best thing out there. So I think if we show everybody what we have and then mention this and see if they're interested, I think that's great. Now, your brokers might not like that if you're not with us. In fact, I know they won't. But I am better at asking for forgiveness than permission and hearing the word no. I don't like that. So I always check with my attorneys, say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Does so-and-so know? Nope. And they better not know until I get it. And they're like, okay, it's legal. Same with the buyer's rebate. There's a buyer's rebate we talk about too. It's just a tool. It's not giving away money. I don't want to work for free, and I'm not advocating anybody does it. All right, alternative is have the seller choose the commission. And I put in there, what? Because I knew it'd be late. We needed something to kind of wake us up. But this came from Tom Ferry too, all right? So it's a pyramid, upside down sort of. Well, it is. But it shows that, it shows that what our commission is. So you can put 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/8 on your side. And then here's what I love, is I brought the competition with me. Do you remember me saying that? So if I was going to use this, I brought the competition with me, and I would say, let's see what the competition is paying, because they are going to pick the buyer's agents now, the buyer's broker's commission. There is 6 houses around here like yours for sale. Let's see. Oh, here's a 4% commission. Here's a 3. Here's another 3. Oh, here's a 2.5. Oh. Isn't that funny? I want to do that. I learned that from Tom Ferry. And here's a 3.5, and here's some more 3s. All right. By the time we get you on the market, this 4 will probably be gone. So let's see where do you want to fall in here? What do you want to pay? And before you decide, let me tell you this: the average agent in our area has 2 transactions a year, so they are driving around in their car with 50% of their income for the year. Keep that in mind. Which one would you like to do? Now, it doesn't affect me one way or another. I'm still going to get my 3 1/8, 3 1/4, or 3. And so I just want them to be as competitive as possible. So that was kind of cool. So I like that. I really like throwing it on the floor. Again, I want to go on some listing appointments to do all this stuff I've learned since I did it. But that's an option if you wanted to do that. Okay, come on. Some takeaways. So I brought them a pre-listing pack. What I would do from the big box stores is buy some blue folders and some green folders. This is so corny. Blue was the blue folder that I was sad they didn't list with me. So it's like a recap of everything we talked about. If they don't hire me, I'm not leaving all the comps. Is that bad? Why am I going to give them to them for free? Mm-hmm. So I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so disappointed because I really like you guys and your house is amazing. But let's follow up tomorrow or the next day if that's okay with you, and we'll see if you decided to go with somebody else or if it is me, whatever. But I'm going to ask why they're not ready. If they're not ready to sign, I'm going to find out why to see if I can overcome it while I'm there. So there's just, it's just a recap, like I said. The green was a go. They listed with me. And so I had blue folders in my briefcase that looked like the commission I charged, and green folders. And I also had a bunch of folders ready to list. I always had 10 ready to go at a time. When I moved from Remax to Keller, I brought 48 listings with me, and it was kind of like, I was carrying a lot of listings for a while, so it was kind of cool. So I had my system in place. And this was just, and they didn't even read these things, but it was just one more service step to show them how different I am from everybody else. And what I started to do was use our company folders, and they were really a nice blue with silver foil. Have you seen them? But I kept the system that I did. I put a green sticker on the back of the green folders, so I still knew which ones were the go, you know, because I really used it all the time. All right, make sure you sign it in lockbox as soon as possible. Keep them in your car if you can, or if you want to. Now, I don't have any signs, so I use Janine's, but the flyer box we talked about, chaining one to it, that's laminated. QR code is another service item. I don't think it's passé because they're still putting them on the phones when you buy a new phone. So I was still trying to do everything that's out there that makes me look good to the seller, you know. And then the voice pad thing, I absolutely love that thing right there. Lockbox, of course, talks about that. Make sure you put it in the MLS immediately. And my service item on there is send them copies of everything you do. Because have you ever had 2 or 3 weeks into the listing, they call you and say, my listing doesn't even have any pictures and the description's horrible. It's like, oh. I mean, it's shameful, and you feel it bad when they call you on it. So it's better to get it out, even if you have an assistant. When you get an assistant, I'm going to declare that they can be doing that for you and send it out. And make sure you're bragging on whatever MLSs it goes to also. If you're doing West Georgia, anybody at West Georgia, Carrollton, Villa Rica? All right, make sure you put it in Navica. All right, so voice pad we talked about again earlier. QR code, you can do this one if you want to, QR-code-generator. You can now get them from VoicePad. And so, but I think I would use a non-VoicePad one for right now, because I would want to find my listing on my mobile site. So my mobile site is davekubat.com. At least it's forwarded to that. On a regular computer, I would find this listing on davekubat.com. And whatever's at the top, https:// that's what I'm going to put right here. Because I want to send them to my mobile site. Why? Because once they start doing things in there, it's going to tell me that 770-421, whatever the number is doing stuff on and I can call them back. So I love that. So then, otherwise, QR code goes to Never Never Land. Okay, so that's the only way I think you can track QR codes. So anyway, so you just do that, and it makes it right there. You download it, and you can print it. It's probably best to print it the size of a piece of paper. Laminate it, Velcro it to your sign. Remember to get your signs close to the street as possible, so people can zap it with their phones. Especially if it's kind of raining, that's kind of neat for them to be able to zap it like that. All right, the flyer. This flyer now, to me, it looks a little bit outdated, but I looked at Publisher about a month ago, and it still kind of looks like this. So if anybody has another program that they can share with me, I'd love to make this look like 2019. But the basics is there. Buyers buy this home directly from me, and I will pay you $2,750. That's the buyer's rebate program. If you want to adopt it, you can. It came from some friends of ours that were driving me crazy. They wanted to go in houses that they didn't like because the husband wanted to go see the basement. I was ready to kill him. And I had seen Zip Realty and Percent Realty. And so I magically said to my friends, I said, hey, you know what? So we don't kill each other, let's do something. We have a new program, so I want you to take advantage of it. It's if I physically show you less than 6 houses, I just made it up, 6 houses, then you guys have earned some of my commission. And in your case, it'd be 1% of the sale price. And the wife was like, oh, that'll buy some new furniture. I said, oh, absolutely. And keep us from killing you. I would text my wife and say, I can't stand him. I still don't even talk to him anymore. He made me so upset. So anyway, so the flyer has some cool stuff on there. That's the buyer's rebate program. So this was a $275,000 house. Never did I give a rebate. And it's not a bait and switch either. It's a real program. But because I said less than 6, they always want to go look at more than 6. And even if they call me on the sign, they want to go look at other 6. For example, call for current pricing. They called the number on here. Actually, on this lady, I didn't answer, but I called her right back. And I said, hey, this is Dave Kubat. I was just calling you back about 76 States Avenue. And she was this cute little old lady. And she's like, oh, honey, that house is too big for us, you know. And I said, well, why do you say that? And she said, well, your flyer says 7 bedrooms and 4 baths, whatever it was. And I said, oh, I'm so glad we're talking, because that house is like a 3-2, like 2,000 square feet on a finished basement. That's where all that other stuff came from. And she said, oh, that'd be perfect for my grandkids. And I was like, I know. So I showed it to her, but it wasn't the right house. So I took her elsewhere, you know. She didn't call because of the deal. She just called because she wanted to hear more about the house. So what I ended up doing on a big thing like that was take off a voice pad the amount of bedrooms, because I didn't want that to disqualify the home, you know. Same with the kitchen. There's no inside pictures here. It's just the amenities and then the pictures of the entrance and stuff, because I want to drive them to a website or to the voice pad thing to look and see deeper so I can capture them. Anyway, so the flyer is good. Directionals, not a big thing these days. Nobody's really doing them, but if you can, you'll stand up from the crowd. But if you do, if you put it in the neighbor's yard, can I suggest you knock and say, hey, I just listed the house down the street, and I usually get records in this area, so I want to make sure I sell it for top dollar. I want to put a sign in your front by the stop sign. Is that okay? Nobody's ever told me no. When they don't, they're gone. Then I do it again, and they're gone. So I would just ask. And I also had some letters in my car saying, hey, I just knocked on your door, you weren't home, but I put a sign out in your yard for the neighbor down the street. It's a great house. I hope to get top dollar for it. If you do not want this sign in the yard, please call me and I'll come grab it immediately. So anyway, I'm just caring for the neighborhood. So staging we talked briefly about, but watch some videos, take some classes. Like, you might be able to see these. I think we got to focus that thing, but it's quite nice. You know, declutter, depersonalize, neutralize. Remember those. I'm talking faster to get through everything. Sorry. But that room is small, but it shows that it seats 6 people. You know, comfortably. And that, I don't even know where that is. I just love that. It looks great. Here's before and after. Oh, horrible, horrible, horrible. If you can't see, that's burgundy from the 90s and 2000s. And here it's neutral, declutter, depersonalize. But I would even do more. I would get rid of that runner, something else. It's just still too much for me, for my taste. Virtual staging, I don't have anybody to endorse, but if you have a vacant property, you can actually get it virtually staged. Like this furniture, artwork, curtains is all digital. You probably need some kind of disclaimer rather, on there, you know. And what I have seen though, when I've showed houses that are empty, a whiteboard on a tripod inside with this there too, just to kind of give them an idea what it looks like. I think staging is important. I feel like when you add furniture, it shows the size of the room, and it usually looks bigger than it shows without. Bless you. Realtor.com, is anybody enhancing on those these days? If you are, brag about it. If not, it still goes to there, so you can kind of brag about it. This is the same room. This is why I want you to get a good camera if you don't have one. Same room. Fisheye. Cell phone looks like. They really need to have like a website, ugliest MLS pictures in the world.com. Maybe we should do it just for fun. I mean, I cringe when I see some of them, you know. And before we grew too big, I used to go through every listing and see what they were doing and just say, hey, can I talk about your pictures? You know, they're independent contractors. I don't want to dictate anything, but I just want to coach. And so anyway, it looks good like that. This is probably a small kitchen, but don't you want to go there and have wine and some cheese? I mean, that looks great, you know. The same with this, it's cozy. It's probably real small, cozy, but great picture. Paradigm is you can make your own visual tours if you want to. There's other companies too. I think in today, I think I would probably have a professional do it all, but I do have a good camera and I'm good at it. I mean, I would probably try to do some. But you can make up your own tours if you want to and upload them. Property business card is a great sales thing, I think. Remember my 6420, right? Well, if I met with a FSBO, they probably want to sell it themselves so they can save the money. If I asked them why are they selling by owner and they said, well, we don't like realtors or we don't like 6%. I say it can add up to a lot of money, so I see why you want to save some money. However, you do get what you pay for, whatever your script is. But I would give everybody got a stack of business cards from Vistaprint for like $8 or $10. And mine would actually be more about me, not the property. I think, but this was Sean's, like it's literally one. So he bought this for $6 or $8. It's probably $10 or $12 nowadays. just the address. And the cool thing is, another guy from Tom Ferry Coaching said something about it maybe 6 months ago. He would bring some gifts to the people. And one was a bottle of champagne. And he would say, this is for you. He said, we're going to celebrate when we get an offer. And the other thing I did for you, like he would just leave that there. The other thing I did for you was I bought your domain, your address, whatever their address. I bought 48berkeleyway.com, and I'm going to make you a private website. Well, we all know all of our websites have a page, and it has its own identity, and it has a thing in the top. So I can point that. GoDaddy is awesome. Do you guys know GoDaddy? If you say, this crazy guy just told me to point this at one, somewhere, I think you just point it to your listing on your phone, on your mobile site. But so if anybody types that in, they're going to go right to the website, right? And it's going to look like their own private website that they have. Did you do anything spectacular? No. But so this is the thing. So anyway, so this guy put the thing down. He said, we're going to celebrate together. We're going to pop that sucker when we get a contract. If they don't drink, apple cider is great. Like if you know ahead of time they're probably not drinkers, then sparkling apple cider. Just be something fun. And the other thing is I bought 48 Berkeley Way domain, and I'm going to make you a private website. And he said, so many people said, well, what if we don't hire you? What are you going to do with it? And he says, well, if you hire somebody else, have the agent call me and I'll sell it to them if they even do it. I don't know. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So that was neat. I really like the two little presents, the two gifts idea. All right. Flyers inside the house. So if you have a flyer, what you can do is just save as and take all the crazy stuff out. If you're using mine, it has Dave, rebate Dave. Dave's, inside the house, the buyer's agents are showing it, so you want to take all that stuff out and just have information about the house. But so you don't have to reinvent anything, you can just save as and delete your stuff that maybe would offend another agent that's showing the house, The last thing you want is another agent calling saying, hey, I got this flyer from the dining room table and it says about you're going to give them back a rebate. What is that? Oops. And it does say cannot be represented by a broker, by the way, in tiny letters on that flyer. I think I would still do these. You can get the memory sticks a lot cheaper now because there's a lot of people that don't have CD drives, So maybe you want to do that. Maybe just put it on a little drive. What do you call it? Thumb drive. I don't know how much they are in bulk, but I used to put 12 of each in the house and just be done. I didn't want to have to bring more back. And, when I did my final walkthrough, we just threw them away. One thing I did was if the CDs, I would actually pass it to the other agent on the table. And the CD has Dave Kubat, listing 123 Maple Street, Dave's number. And I'd say, hey, this is a picture. This is all the pictures that I took. I would do it very quietly and shoot it over to the other agent. And half the time, she would pass it over to the other people and say, here's some pictures that he took for you with my stuff on it. I thought, oh my gosh. I almost felt guilty about doing that. But I didn't send it to them. I gave it to the agent. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. And passed it over. I was like, oh my gosh. So I never felt guilty about that. Remember, I'm going after the buyers and sellers that are not mine to go into my database. Not unethically. Just see that one was borderline, but I felt like I gave it to her. She did it, All right. So canvassing the neighborhood when I get a new one. We're going to wrap it up in a few minutes. Door knocking. Yes, door knocking. Degrees of separation. What everybody does, we're not doing. Not really. What nobody's doing, or just a few, we're doing. So what's huge with our group right now is door knocking and open houses. I know that's from when my parents were in the business years ago, but it is working. Now in the Tom Ferry group, the average in my group makes $393,000 and they are knocking on doors. They're not sending anybody, they're knocking on doors. They are the personality, they're the brand, and they're knocking on doors. So it's working. I don't have any Georgia ones, but the Southeast says it's working heavily. In fact, on an open house, I'm jumping ahead, but an open house is yielding 1.5 listings for every open house. That's a good investment. Even if an open house costs you quite a lot of money, maybe the lender helps you pay for it. We talked about that. So anyway, 2 times. Once to announce the listing, the second time to announce the mega open house. It might be a going away party for the sellers. That was part of my marketing too. I did this years ago, and then all of a sudden I went to Tom Ferry and they're doing mega open house. I said, they stole my idea and changed the name. They didn't, but it's a good idea. But I was doing going away parties for the house to build my database. And it was awesome. I only had several people let me do it, like 10 or 12. My attorney and lender gave me some money to do it. They showed up too. And it was just Sam stuff. Like, most of them are in the evenings because they felt like it wasn't like an open house, like, for like a broker, what do you call it, a broker caravan. It was actually like an open house. So evenings, and most of them were on the weekends in the evenings. I didn't do any liquor. I didn't want the responsibility and the liability, but I did stuff. Now, who's coming to this party? Same as that buyer's one. All their friends and family, the neighbors, and I am saturating the heck out of social media, boosting on Facebook, putting it out there, hand delivering flyers to all the neighbors. This is about me and my database. And oh yeah, I stand up from everybody else too. But see what I mean? And it's expensive. The suggestions are do it big. A food truck. Maybe you do an ice cream truck, that's less money. A band. Some kind of block party feel to it. And you and your staff and your fellow staff members or whatever can be and would be the talk of the town, like literally. You want to make sure everybody registers when they come in. Get 2 tablets and get 2 register pages. You can even do it through BombBomb, and they're going to get a pre-recorded video from you. So if they signed in but they didn't get to meet you, hey Dave, thanks for visiting my house today. So it's kind of cool. I know I'm talking fast and covering a lot, but there's a lot of stuff out there. So mega open house. These are only $20. Grab a bunch of them. Get those flags if you're going to do this. Now I had one agent. She said, Dave, I did an open house. I said, awesome. And she goes, it wasn't mega though. I said, who cares? You did it. And she goes, well, I got 1 listing out of it and 2 buyers. I was like, that's awesome. So she hardly did anything. I think she did wine and cheese, which I didn't want to know about the wine liability, but she did wine and cheese, and she had a great crowd. And so it's like, awesome. So that was sweat equity, not check equity. And this is, $10 a head probably. So just keep that in mind. If you have 100 show, it's probably $1,000. Is that 1,000? Yeah. But here's why. Here's those statistics I was trying to show you earlier. 66% of buyers go with the first person they meet with, the first agent they meet with face-to-face. 72% of sellers do the same thing. And on the seller side, have you ever heard agents say, I don't do open houses because all the nosy neighbors come? That's who I want to come to mine. I like nosy neighbors. And then 80% of open house attendees are unrepresented according to NAR in 2017. So that's a recent statistic. That's huge right there. Okay? Now your millennials, they're open house people. They are not going to go into a meeting and do this kind of thing and sit with us probably, but they sure want to go look at all the stuff they can without you. And then if they happen to stumble across your sign or your open house, they're pretty loyal. That's the way I understand them. But saturate social media. If you're not on all these things, that is your to-do list today to get this going and your Zillow and Google reviews. If you take nothing away from this class besides these, I'm happy. Okay? Make sure you put it through reverse prospecting. You only have to do it once. I can stay later and tell you about that, but it's part of my marketing. So I want to do it once, put proof in my folder that I did it. It doesn't even work. It's just old technology that nobody's talking about. Weekly feedback. Remember to do weekly feedback. Know your local competition. Helps factor in the price too. Helps the seller see what reality is. I have taken sellers to the competition before, and I say, oh, this one feels like it's a little bit bigger than yours, and they have granite tops. What do you think about that? Silence, silence. Well, I think that their price is lower than ours. I don't think we can get the highest price. All right, well, let's look at the price when we get back to your house. But there's other ones. Let's go look at the other ones. I knew they were going to be helping me out with the price, Putting the warranty on there, we talked about it. Make sure if this is part of your marketing, as soon as the meeting's over, you put it on there right away. Because if you forget, and then they say, hey, our thing's not working. Did you put a warranty? And you're like, So this should be your top thing before a sign, I think. That's how important this is. Remember, I was the hero twice. Make sure you check seller HVAC coverage on those. MLS adjustment. This is kind of cool. The price goes up $10 and down $10 every week. And so tell your people up front. Now, I think whole numbers is better. $300,000, not $299,900. Why? Buyer says, give me everything from $250,000 to $300,000. $299,900 comes up. Give me everything from $300,000 to $325,000. $299,900 doesn't come up. So I like to be on both sides of those sides of the search thing. But after a couple of weeks, they're going to start going up and down, because they're going to go into all those portals fresh with a price reduction or a price change. But what I like about it, when you pop it back up to normal, it doesn't look like you went over the price. It's just the first initial price, you know. All right, so class is not over. I'm passing these out while we're talking to get you out of here faster, okay? So hang with me another minute. Refreshes the buyer's portals, top of mind, keeps it new. Just listed postcards. What about first time on the market in blank amount of years? I like that one. There's two sides to these. If you tell me on here that I speak fast, I'm going to trace your handwriting and find you, because I already know that. I'm just kidding. It's inevitable. Somebody's going to put it. I bet you put it. I'm just kidding. So we're still not done yet, okay? I mean, I'm definitely open to constructive criticism. Don't get me wrong. All right.
Thank you.
So that can be something you do, just listed there. There's more new listing check items, like send a thank you card, copies of, I still think a card in the mail, an old school thing, is so nice when you get those. So I'm advocating that. Putting it into the MLSs, and remember, send a copy every time you do anything different. I just added the pictures. Send it to them. Kill them with all this stuff. Specialty signage for in-house marketing, in-home marketing. You know, when you go to a new home, they say, this house has da-da-da, because you can't see it. Why not do some of those too? You can get some Avery kind of cards and have them printed out in there, fold them in half long ways, and put them out like little tents. I used to do it all the time, and the other agent would say, "Where did you get those? What did you?" I said, "Well, I made them." And they're like, "Oh," I said, "I can send you the thing. You just can change it if you want to." And so that was kind of cool. There's some pricing assistance. I'm going to let you read these on your own because I want to get you out of here. But remember, ask your whys and stuff there too. You can even throw me out if you want to, what kind of objections you're getting, and I'm going to see if I can handle them. Anybody want to do that? No? All right. Let me hit one thing real quick while I'm thinking about it, is what about Mark Spain? He's all over the radios and probably TV. And if you're the last one in, and you know that they met with Mark Spain, what can you say about that? I think you can say, did Mark come himself, or did he send somebody that just got out of school? Oh, is that like BAM? Because most of these people are fresh out of school, a lot of them. Well, I don't know. They didn't say. Well, give me the person's name. Let's look, because I do not want you to have a brand new agent out of real estate school. My goodness. They've been licensed since, about 6 months. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about him or her. I don't know them. Another thing you can say is when you have great Google reviews, which everybody in this room is going to, bring yours and bring your competitions if they're not killing it like you are. Saying, hey, when you told me you were meeting with so-and-so, I wanted to prepare for the meeting, so I was seeing what I was up against, and I was so happy because their Google reviews are, not as good as mine. So I brought both of ours so you had something to compare to. Is that bad? So I'm telling you, this training's out there, so you got to get yours really great. NAR says 2 weeks and no showings. These are random here. 2 weeks and no showings, or 10 showings and no offers is a price issue. So if you need to lean on NAR for that, go ahead to get your pricing down to get it going. So you could even say, hey, this is Dave Kubat. I just wanted to talk about pricing. I sent you that video the other day and told you we were going to hit the pricing. We need to drop our price by $10,000 to be in the least bit competitive with those other three that you and I walked through. And so I'll be over there at 6 p.m. tonight to get a signature. Is that okay? And then I'm going to be quiet. It's not always that forceful, but with the ones that you need to be, you probably need to be. And you'll know. I mean, the longer you do this, you know what I'm talking about. Here, this one's cool. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on the research on today's market, it seems you're the highest bidder for your home, so we need to drop it by $3,000. I'm going to send you the paperwork electronically. Silence. Expired, I love this, market rejected. So if they're talking about houses that were on the market and they're expired, or you bring the expireds that are priced like theirs, you can say the market rejected these. So you might want to bring expireds on the listing appointment within the last 6 months expireds. All right, we're almost done. Getting you here out of time. Remember to ask why. It's almost like, why? You might feel that way, but it's the best way to understand what's going on so you can handle it. Sellers may help you get meeting of the minds when you find out the reasons why. Or if you have heartstrings from the buy side even, you can kind of, when you really kind of lay it all out there, sometimes you can just get a lot done. Taking blame, we talked about that at the buyer side. Expert, we talked about that on the buy side. Turbulence. All right, so somebody, oh, gee whiz, sorry. No. All right, go back in there, Harn. Wow. Seller congratulations letter, just like the buyer's one. So there's one of those if you want to use it, coming on your link. We talked about it briefly, but on the seller side, I think we need a minimum of 2 days possession. So remember that furniture loaded up in the truck driveway thing? That's why. Kickouts, I don't like those, but sometimes they're there. We do have the kickout contingency. One thing I would say though, the language on the kickout does talk about if we get an acceptable offer, then we can activate the kickout clause with the current buyers. But what if they never come to fruition? It's just an offer. So you might want to get them under contract with a backup contingency before you alert the other side. I had never heard that before, but I learned it the hard way, so I figured that out 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It also says that we can keep it on the market, on the backup, on the contingencies, the kickouts. Well, my opinion on that is that means active status, and this is going to get me in big trouble if you're telling me. But I'm popping that thing back to active every time because the other agent's putting the 117 in there, 118, 117, and it's getting changed to pending with a kickout or condition with a CK, basically. And I'm like, nope, active. And I have had people call me from FLS. Canty was the president. He was the main one I used to fight with. He's gone now, I think. But I said, Canty, that's not active. It says keeping it on the market. As a buyer agent, I'm not even looking at those CKs unless I have a cash buyer, which I don't hardly have. And so anyway, so that's something you can kind of keep in mind there, keeping it on the market, and then the backups. There's just some things you can send to them, like we talked about on the buy side, drip campaigns, settlement statement, of course, for their taxes, homestead. So this is perfect timing. All right. If you want, while you're packing up, hey, I'm going to take those evaluations just right here when you're walking out. But while you're packing up quietly, please, if you can kind of shout out some things that you loved from today, just so I can get some feedback from you.
Personal experience.
You can still kind of pack up, though.
Personal experience. All your personal
The stories? Oh, no. Okay, good.
Amazing, yeah. I can relate.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else? I'm not fishy for anything. I just want to kind of hear it. And if you don't want to say anything, that's okay. Slow down, I know. No. Well, thank you for coming. If you are from another company, please know you're always welcome. You're not the only one. There's probably 3/4 from outside. So it's okay. We're not going to hard sell you. In fact, we want to love on you. And but thanks for coming. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching online. I forgot about it. Thanks.